Heya Cryptozens, it's 10 p.m. Pacific time. My name is Nikodemus, and welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter, where we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. Welcome to Tuesday, December 13th, 2022, CPI Day. We printed what looks to be a pretty good CPI heading in the right direction. That said, I'm going to wait for the confirmation bounce before making up my mind. Meanwhile, Sam Bankman-Fried was unable to attend the congressional hearing today virtually. This was because he was under house arrest in the Bahamas. However, this did not stop lawmakers from criticizing his business practices and his former role as CEO of FTX. Now, J Ray III is the current CEO of FTX, and he testified in a U.S. Financial Services Committee hearing on December 13th. He revealed that there were no internal controls or separateness between Alameda Research and FTX Trading. Further, the owners of both companies were able to run free rein across most of the FTX group. Ray also said that FTX's financial difficulties were different from those of Enron because there was, quote, no record keeping whatsoever. Now, apparently, invoices and expense sheets were just sent through Slack. And more, FTX is completely vulnerable to any claims that they leaked private keys. That's because, in the past, FTX stored private keys to crypto wallets without encryption, leaving a large amount of money sitting there at risk of theft or malicious activity. Now, Ray, he shared this information with the committee, saying that he has taken steps to secure over $1 billion worth of digital assets. For the uninitiated, private keys are used to access and authorize funds in crypto wallets and must be stored securely with encryption to prevent unauthorized transfers. Storing private keys without encryption can put cryptocurrency exchanges at risk for security breaches. The problem is that unencrypted private keys at FTX would allow any employee with internal systems access or external actor who is able to obtain systems access to move and or steal customer funds relatively trivially. And their accounting was pure amateur hour. Ray said, quote, FTX used QuickBooks, a multi-billion-dollar company using QuickBooks. Nothing against QuickBooks, very nice tool, just not for a multi-billion-dollar company. Now, many House members asked whether Sam's actions were intentional or due to incompetence. At this point, Wagner mentioned the apology tour that SBF took in the media after FTX's bankruptcy, the one where Sam admitted to making mistakes to transferring users to Alameda. Texas Representative Al Green quoted Martin Luther King Jr. to try to understand Sam's actions and whether there was wrongdoing at FTX. Green said that it's hard to believe Sam's claim that he was just making a mistake and trying to help people. Green said, quote, Bankman-Fried clearly tried to exhibit himself as the brightest of the bright, but being bright neither makes you an honest nor a fool, does it? Though Bankman-Fried was not present at the hearing, lawmakers discussed the contents of his leaked written testimony. Missouri Representative Emanuel Cleaver criticized the profanity in SBF's opening statement. Cleaver said that he may introduce a resolution to rename cryptocurrency Creepo-Do-Currency. Ha. This was the second congressional hearing on the collapse of FTX, following a state agriculture committee hearing in December. And we're going to talk about the suits that the CFTC and the SEC filed against SBF, FTX, and Alameda for fraud. Also, the Southern District of New York got in on some of that action, leveling charges of their own. The Senate Banking Committee will hold a hearing tomorrow on December 14th with Ben McKenzie, Kevin O'Leary, Hillary Allen, and Jennifer Schlupp as witnesses. It is unclear if lawmakers will ask Bankman-Fried to testify. Probably ain't going to happen. Which, this whole business about arresting Sam the night before that he was going to testify, albeit virtually, well, now we get nothing. And for how long? How long is the Bahamas going to shield this guy by not extraditing him and forcing him to answer for his questions? Well, we do have something of a date, and I'm going to get to that in a bit. But at present, it's currently hard to predict just where this line is going to end, because the Bahamas securities regulator has expressed anger over what he perceives as false statements made by John J. Ray III. The regulator claims that Ray is obstructing their investigation into what happened with FTX. In a statement, the Bahamas Securities Commission said that Ray is more interested in gaining attention than cooperating as a dispute over bankruptcy proceedings intensifies. The regulator stated that Ray's statements do not appear to be based in facts, but are only meant to generate headlines and promote questionable agendas. The commission said that the filings made by FTX were intended to create a false impression of communication between Sam and the commission. A court filing by FTX on Monday claimed that Sam, as well as co-founder Gary Wang, were in close contact with the commission and the Attorney General during the week of the company's collapse. The filing cited an email from SBF to the Attorney General in which he said that he would allow Bahamians to withdraw assets. The commission's statement also said that Ray's filings continue to wrongly confuse the Bahamas government, the commission, and the court-appointed liquidators. The Bahamas Securities Commission said it is conducting a thorough investigation into the reasons behind FTX's failure. However, it's been necessary for the commission to request that Ray's representatives do not obstruct the investigation. The commission noted that Ray has not once contacted them to discuss his concerns before discussing them publicly. Lawyers are currently involved in a dispute over how to dismantle Sam Bankman-Fried's empire. This has got Bahamian officials and former employees demanding access to FTX's IT systems amidst claims that Bahamas Vias purchased for FTX staff were wrongly included in the Chapter 11 bankruptcy hearings that began on November 11th. On Monday, Bahamas Attorney General Ryan Pinder confirmed that he ordered SBF's arrest at the request of U.S. authorities. Now, another potential wedge between the U.S. and the Bahamas over this are some rather bizarre claims that the Bahamas government reportedly worked with Sam to issue a new cryptocurrency. Allegedly, after the collapse of FTX in November, the Bahamas government asked SBF to mint new digital assets worth hundreds of millions of dollars. They allegedly also asked him to transfer the new tokens to the control of island officials. Further, Bahamas officials reportedly tried to help Sam regain access to the computer systems at FTX. American lawyers claim that Bahamas officials were responsible for directing unauthorized access to FTX's systems in order to take control over the digital assets under the supervision of a U.S. court. This conflict between FTX restructuring executives in the United States and officials in the Bahamas has escalated. According to U.S. lawyers, liquidators in the Bahamas asked a U.S. judge for access to FTX data controlled by their American counterparts. This would include trading data, email records, and other information. In a court filing on Tuesday, the lawyers reportedly wrote that the Bahamas authorities asked for live dynamic access to the data. They also accused SBF of opening withdrawals for all Bahamian clients. On November 10th, just a day before FTX filed for bankruptcy, the firm announced that they were going to facilitate withdrawals of Bahamian funds in compliance with local regulations. This resulted in millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency leaving the exchange. Now, this new report suggests that FTX had close ties with government officials in the Bahamas. That said, other reports suggest that SBF also had connections with the U.S. government, but that's a story for another day. In the meantime, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission has filed their own suit against SBF. The CFTC alleges that Sam violated federal commodities laws. The regulator claims that Sam and other FTX executives took out loans from Alameda to buy real estate and to make political donations. This complaint alleges that Sam directed FTX executives to create features in the company's code that allowed Alameda to have unlimited credit at FTX. The CFTC also alleges that FTX executives, quote, gave Alameda an unfair advantage by allowing them quicker execution times and exempting them from the platform's auto-liquidation risk management process. The CFTC claims that those actions violated the Commodity Exchange Act, which regulates futures trading and foreign transactions. This act states that it is illegal to offer or enter into transactions that are commonly known as wash sales or accommodation trades. These typically involve the purchase or sale of commodities for future delivery. The CFTC is seeking civil penalties and other remedies such as trading and registration bans, disgorgement, and restitution. Now, not to be left out, the Securities Exchange Commission also accused Sam of defrauding investors. The commission claims that he broke anti-fraud provisions of both the Securities Exchange Act of 1933 and 1934. Further investigations into other individuals and potential securities law violations are ongoing. Now, FTX filed for bankruptcy on November 11th after users withdrew funds from the platform, and it was discovered that not all user funds were available. In the meanwhile, Binance had previously shown interest in acquiring FTX, but later withdrew from the deal. Now, during the bankruptcy proceedings, John J. Ray III described the situation as unprecedented and stated that there was a, quote, complete failure of corporate controls at FTX. The SEC alleges that Sam orchestrated a years-long fraud by presenting his exchange's sophisticated automated risk measure as protection for customer assets. The complaint also accuses him of failing to disclose how the firm commingled funds with Alameda Research, special treatment given to Alameda, and using funds for venture investments, political donations, and real estate purchases. The Securities Exchange Commission has specified that $1.8 billion was raised from equity investors, which is different from regular FTX users who have funds stuck on the platform. Now, those users are considered creditors. That means that they are people who the exchange owes money to in the bankruptcy proceedings. Equity investors are investors who provide funds to startups in return for their equity in the company. The SEC charges are on behalf of investors who participated in FTX's funding rounds since it launched in 2019. SEC Chair Gary Gensler stated that the alleged fraud by Bankman-Fried is a warning to crypto platforms and they need to comply with laws. But wait, there's more, because the U.S. Department of Justice has filed criminal charges against Sam as well. The New York Times reports that prosecutors are charging him with wire fraud conspiracy, securities fraud, conspiracy to commit securities fraud, and money laundering. Now, Sam was the only one named in the indictment from the entire FTX inner circle, which has got to make you wonder, right? I mean, you've got Sam, he's the CEO of FTX, and you've got Caroline, CEO of Alameda. At present, they both look at least partially guilty. Now, Sam hides out in the Bahamas. Caroline is spotted getting coffee near an FBI field office. Sam is named in the indictments. Caroline isn't. Did Caroline flip on Sam? Anyway, Damian Williams is the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, and Williams said that the investigation into Sam's actions was very fast. Williams also stated that the arrests made in the investigation were not the end. In a press conference on December 13th, he explained that the timing of SBF's arrest was based on the progress of law enforcement officials. The officials authorized charges on December 7th and indicted Sam on December 9th. This led to a warrant being executed in the Bahamas on December 12th. An 8-count indictment released on December 13th revealed that U.S. authorities alleged that Sam defrauded customers and investors at FTX, defrauded lenders at Alameda, and violated campaign finance laws with contributions to both Democratic and Republican lawmakers. Williams said that the investigation into the collapse of FTX is ongoing. He hinted that there will be additional announcements about potential arrests in the future. To that end, he encouraged individuals who may have been involved in the alleged illegal actions at FTX and Alameda to come forward, and to do so before authorities come to them. Williams also commented on the profile of a potential fraudster, stating that it's not always what one might expect. He added that extradition is ongoing in the Bahamas. Now, Williams mentioned that this is one of the biggest financial frauds in American history. Sam has been under supervision in the Bahamas since the collapse of FTX in November. There has been a bit of a legal battle over who has jurisdiction in this case. The charges may have settled the debate. Now, Sam was expected to testify before the HFSC, albeit virtually. However, he failed to confirm that he would appear before the Senate Banking Committee. Maxine Waters said that she was surprised to hear that Sam was arrested in the Bahamas. She said that the public was looking forward to hearing from him and that this arrest denies them this opportunity. She said she was disappointed that they would not hear from him, but the committee remains committed to getting to the bottom of what happened. If convicted of wire fraud, he faces up to 20 years in federal prison. Members of Congress have called on Chair Gensler to testify about the SEC's handling and failure to prevent the collapse of FTX. At the time of writing, Sam has requested bail. His lawyers have requested bail at the Bahamas Magistrate Court pending extradition. If granted, that means that he would be on the loose in the Bahamas. That means he would not be under supervision in the United States. His defense team also said that the 30-year-old suffers from depression and has insomnia. Much like his victims are suffering depression and suffering from insomnia right now. They also claim that he does not have a criminal record and did not flee the Bahamas. They also said that he hasn't been taking his medications since his arrest, including Adderall and antidepressants, but he does not object to electronic monitoring or reporting to the police if granted bail. Now, I held off finishing tonight's episode to hopefully have a good ending point for the proceedings of the day. I believe it was worth the wait because, breaking news, Judge Joyanne Ferguson Pratt denied Sam's bail request. She highlighted his risk of flight and ordered the executive to be held in custody at the Bahamas Department of Corrections until February 8th, 2023. So, what does this mean for proceedings in the United States? It's hard to say. At present, it seems to be something of a stalemate. I think the United States should let the Bahamas keep the money in return for extraditing SBF to the U.S. Much better for everyone, except Sam, but screw that guy. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. We'll see you tomorrow night.